Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you Jarl Conrad versus Chickendew in round 1 lower bracket of the 5th Asia Pacific tournament. Today we're going to be seeing Odon River once again, but this time on the Allied side, the 2nd Armoured French under command of Jarl Conrad, and on the Axis side, the 3rd Fallschirmjager. Now the 3rd Fallschirmjager is definitely a division that suits this map very well, and we've seen other players have a lot of success with it. So Chickendew picking the 3rd Fallschirmjager here will definitely do him a lot of favours, will allow him to use the Fallschirmjagers and exploit those across the river, as well as a lot of the close range fire support weapons that they have access to, like the Pupschen and the Pak 38 Gerlich, and all of those kinds of things. However, the 2nd Armoured French can definitely do a lot of damage. They have a significant economy in Phase A, which works out well in Phase B as some more of the larger units come in. So what I'd like to see from Jarl Conrad is a strong sort of build-up of forces throughout Phase A, and then really push for an early Phase B, and try and find some ground on the other side of the river. Generally, you'd perceive the Armoured Division to be kind of pinned down on this map quite easily by the fact that there are only 3 places to cross. However, with a concentrated push, with artillery support, maybe with some airstrikes, then Jarl Conrad might be able to make something happen, and if he does manage to get Stuarts and so on across the bridges, then that will definitely put him in a strong position moving forwards. Because if you get this river out of the way, then the 2nd Armoured are generally sitting pretty against the 3rd Fallschirmjager, unless maybe the Air Force gets out of hand. We'll have to wait and see. Let's try and identify some of the units that are going down here. So on this top side we have some recon, a couple of Fallschirmjagers, going to be the Fallschirmführer, and another Fallschirmjager following up. Fallschirmjager for the mid, Fallschirmjagers for the bottom. There is some more recon in there. We also see the Pak 41 Gerlich and the Fallschirmjager there. On the side of Jarl Conrad, it's going to be the Nueve, and there's going to be some Spy. Then there's also the M5A1 with another unit of infantry, and probably the 81mm mortar. I like that the 81mm mortar is being purchased at the start, as it's definitely a good idea to get that in position as soon as possible, and since he has it covered by the Stuart, it should be okay. For the mid, it's just going to be some voltages and the Nueve, and on the top side it's going to be some Spy and the M20 there with some recon in as well, also voltages joining on that top side. So generally both players have spread out quite a lot, and it seems like Chickendew has evenly spread to both the top and bottom side. So no immediate aggression coming out of the 3rd Fallschirmjager, which we have seen previously under command of players like Corbo, who really enjoys using the L6s and a very aggressive L6 Fallschirmjager and ME109 start. But Chickendew not really looking for the L6s early on, going to be trying to make some ground slowly with the infantry instead. On the side of Jarl Conrad, it's just going to be focusing around the M5A1 and setting it up with the mortar here. And considering this is where the mortar and the Stuart are starting, I'd like to see this focused upon and as a build-up moving towards Phase B. So we should be starting shortly. Both players just refining the last few units that they want to put down. We can see that some of these units have been adjusted slightly, but not going to make too much of a difference. Generally though, the main thing to be worried about from Jarl Conrad is the infantry engagements between the bridges. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on, whether or not those Fallschirmjagers can really take advantage of that. The only issue I would say that Chickendew will have if he tries to push across the river is just dealing with the vehicles that the 2nd Armoured French can put in his way. and then he will lack the fire support himself since the infantry will be on their own past the river. And I guess that is one issue with the river in general, is that you have to leave all of your heavy fire support behind. So units moving up here, we can see a lot of them going for unload at position commands, going to be changed around a little bit as they get closer, of course. On the side of Chickendew, he has brought in a Puption. Most of the infantry unloading towards this forest. That's fine, although I'd like to see them go a bit further down, honestly, if they can. Fallschirmjager's getting into position there, recon moving up. On the top side, things just spreading out. Same for Jarl Conrad. Now this MG has managed to get all the way up to this building. Nothing too significant though, as without an L6, there isn't really an easy way that Chickendew can exploit the ground. And I'm hoping that he does use L6s in Phase A, because that is a very easy way of exploiting holes in the enemy defense early on. So the first purchase is going to be some extra recon out of the side of Chickendew here. 81mm mortar has spotted and is shooting at the Puption. Nueva getting into position, voltages on the top side. Honestly, these Nueva at the sort of 300 meter range can do some damage to the Fallschirmjagers, but the Fallschirmjagers just having that little bit extra veterancy and a little bit extra HE, especially it being two MG42s or MG34s, sorry, makes all the difference. The Nueva is still strong, and generally would be actually way stronger than the Fallschirmjagers at close range. You see the 10 HE there would totally outclass the Fallschirmjagers close up. So maybe that's something that Jarl Conrad could exploit. But it seems as though with the Puption being spotted and mortared already, that the Stuart has found its way across the river, and the M5 half-tracks are also getting their way into position. This 50 cal half-track is also something you don't really want to be messing with, as that can put down a hell of a lot of fire very quickly with its high veterancy. So Fallschirmjagers here getting the ideal engagement range versus the voltages. Just the fact that they can fire all of their weapons at that range just demolishes infantry. M5A1 has moved up, but with the introduction of the Fallschirmpanzerabwehr, that's going to be a Panzerschreck and a very dead Stuart. So the voltages left out to dry here. Fallschirmjagers just going to absolutely obliterate them. Fallschirmjagers are pushed through on the bottom side. Voltages just won't hold very well. They don't have a machine gun themselves. They've just got the M1 Garand at 300 meter range, plus the M1 Carbine at 200 meter range, and then the Thompson at close range. Now the voltages in total do have 8 HE at close range, which isn't too bad, but here Fallschirmjagers getting ahead of themselves, find themselves pinned and surrendered. And considering these infantry do cost 45 points a pop, you don't really want to be losing them to surrenders if you can help it. It might also happen here. Yep, another Fallschirmjager gone. Wow, that is a couple severe losses there for Chickendew already. Really does not want to lose any more Fallschirmjagers, surely, because that is just devastating. Infantry has swung just completely in Jarl Conrad's favour now. The infantry matchup, that is. L6 though, getting line of sight onto the voltages is going to do a lot of damage. They're going to be forced to fall back. Fallschirmjagers have found a salient in the mid, but no points found for either player just yet. We can see that it is only on 51% in favour of Chickendew due to this salient, which is likely to be cut off soon with the arrival of the M5 half-track. So if that M5 half-track can pin down the Fallschirmjagers here, then what will happen is they will likely get surrendered. Mortar is going to be hitting the Fallschirmpanzerabwehr. Nueve have come in but are going to get behind cover there. M5A1 on its way. I think there's a lot of potential for ground to be made here by Jarl Conrad if he brings up another Stuart or two. because the Stuarts can take on the L6s quite well. And the fact that Chickendew's already thrown away a couple of the Fallschirmjagers has put him in a bit of a sticky spot. Now the Spey here are opening up onto the Fallschirmjagers, but they are not going to win out. 2 units of Fallschirmjagers targeting the one poor Spey there. And he is likely going to be dead very soon unless he can stay hidden. But needs to be put onto return fire now in order to not reveal himself in the future. M5 half track, can it see what it's firing at here? Yes, we'll be able to pin down those Fallschirmjagers. And that's exactly what Jarl Conrad's looking for to find the surrender here. Okay, another unit of Fallschirmjagers surrendered. Lack of command really, or command being close enough, really causing issues for Chickendew's infantry so far. And the Fallschirmjagers definitely not being as effective as they can be. And what's going to happen here is the Vultures are going to engage the Fallschirmjagers at close range. Vultures will be able to put down the 8 HE there. Then with the assistance of the M5 half track and the M8 Spey, well, we might see another unit of Fallschirmjagers surrendered. Just the neglecting of the command, especially in the center here, has cost Chickendew a couple of squads already. M5A1 is going to engage the L6 here at close range, gets the bailout first shot. Second shot's going to get the kill. We'll have to be aware of the Fallschirmpanzerabwehr when pushing forwards, but plenty of recon here for Jarl Conrad. I like that he has focused on these Spey and has plenty of them to spot things like these Fallschirmpanzerabwehr squads that would otherwise be very difficult to deal with. Oh, nice hit there. Internal fragments from the M8 Spey onto the L6. Huge hit. Takes that L6 out of commission. And with one L6 already going down, Chickendew seems to be losing his armor as well. Just so far, Jarl Conrad been putting himself in a very, very good position. 81mm mortar, going to be firing away once again. Going to try and pin these Fallschirmjäger. Fallschirmjäger going to try and retreat from that fight there. They're going to get pinned down, and is that within 100 meters? I'm not sure it is. Jarl Conrad's going to have to be careful not to pin his own Nueve. It's like the Fallschirmjägers there use their Panzerfaust to take out the half-track. Bazookas have been brought in for Jarl Conrad, maybe to clean up the L6s, but the M8 did do the job here. And it can see into this tree line where the Fallschirmjägers are, and they're not going to last very long at all. +1 now in favour of Jarl Conrad. He's got the 54% territory lead. Doing very, very well at the moment. Nueve going to be running down the Fallschirmjägers here. Nueve moving in at close range against the Fallschirmführer and the Fallschirmpanzerabwehr. Probably not the best move, considering the amount of HE all of these squads can put down combined. And there, the Fallschirmjägers just deleting that squad as it ran towards them. Spitfire Mark 9 has been brought in. Nueve still running down the Fallschirmjägers. Gonna have to be very careful with this engagement. A 2-star ME109 G6R6 already on the way. And yes, there are these GMC Bofors, but I'm not sure they would really save the Spitfire Mark 9 if he tried to make a play. So good that he's just getting that out of there. Revealing the AA though, maybe not the best idea. I don't think Chickendew could see it, right? So maybe just turning off the Bofors for now might actually be a good idea unless Chickendew starts to strafe his units. Because the longer you can hide the fact that you've brought in AA, the more of a chance you will have to bait an air engagement that falls in your favour, especially against those ME109 G6R6s with 2-star veterancy. If a Spitfire comes in with no veterancy, it's very likely that your opponent's going to come in with these 2-star aircraft and try and shoot those down. And if you've invested in a bunch of AA in the meantime, you want to make sure you have that sort of surprise where you can then take on their aircraft quite easily. So the M8 Spey did manage to get across the river here, which is pretty important. M5A1 has also made it. The Fallschirmjägers are going to be able to kill off the M5 half-track. So that is a nice hit there, but the voltages, they are pinning the Fallschirmjägers as they try and do a runner. Taking them down a notch. That is impressive from the Voltigeurs there, winning out against the Fallschirmjagers. The reason that happened is because of the initial 100 meter range engagement, which does generally fall in favour of the Voltigeurs due to the extra HE. So now it's just a matter of Jarl Conrad finding a place to push. It looks like he's going to go through for this area. The Fallschirmjagers have been revealed, but honestly I find this attack very odd indeed. He can't actually move up past these trees without going through this orchard, and that means that the Fallschirmjäger here on their own can quite simply block off the advance of all of these units. The Bofors is able to pin down these Fallschirmjägers in the open, but nothing there to pin those down just yet or make them surrender. Nueve are forced back by the Scharfschütze on the bottom side. Seems like Jarl Conrad is just solidifying his position. We may be looking into a strong Phase B push, because we've just moved into Phase B. Shermans will start arriving, and those combined with the light vehicles that are already on the field have the potential to do a lot of damage very quickly, regardless of the infantry quality on the other side. The main thing that would be the worry is things like AT guns, and the Pak-41 Gerlichs at close range can do a lot of damage, especially to these sort of light armoured French units. Now Fallschirm Pioneers have been brought in. They're actually in a really tough spot. Instant pin, are going to be forced to fall back. There's going to be a lot of damage there as all of those units open up and they get surrendered. Wow. Fallschirm Pioneer taken down immediately. We do have some aggressive Fallschirmjägers here on the top side. They're going to be trying to get right up into the face of the M20. They're actually Fallschirm Pioneers. That M20 going to be able to pin them down. And honestly, Chickendew's got to be really careful here. As Fallschirmjäger are out in the open, if they get pinned by the Spitfire, for example, then things could really go in favour of Jarl Conrad here. 50 cals do help pin the ME-109 G6R6. Spitfire Mark 9 will get on the tail of that ME-109. There is still a 2-star ME-109 available, so Chickendew may bring that out, but it's not going to save this one, I don't think. Yeah, Spitfire does the job. Okay, Fallschirmjäger, with the assistance of the Nueve coming up here, have been pushed back. The vehicle's just going to continue to push through, and like I mentioned, a strong Phase B push is now underway. Jarl Conrad has amassed his units and is breaking through, and this is very sort of stereotypical of a sort of second armoured French approach. They don't necessarily have all the resources they need to make a significant push in Phase A, so they have to wait until the beginning of Phase B just to get something like a Sherman that can put on some pressure. And in this case, the Sherman comes in. It doesn't help with the initial push, but it has forced Chickendew to sort of divert resources up here. Now what I'd like to see is just Jarl Conrad getting some infantry in and behind all of these forces into this town, because that would make it really difficult for Chickendew to then reinforce, and would pretty much seal the deal for the rest of the game. Now with the +3 in his command, Jarl Conrad is going to be winning the game apparently in 10 minutes and 35 seconds, but with that M20 being taken out, the Fallschirmjäger are saved. Well, not for long, as the M4A2 has something to say about that, but the Fallschirmpanzerabwehr, they're getting the kill, or the surrender, onto that M20. Spitfire Mark 9 strafing all day long, safe in the knowing that there are 2 of these Bofors trucks behind it. On this bottom side, Panzer L6 has had its track wheels destroyed, but there is no longer a Stuart here or this half track. They are both dead. So a little bit of room for movement from Chickendew for sure. Jarl will have to reinforce this. It's going to be bringing up an M8 Spy, and I actually really like that choice of unit. There's also the M4A2 on the way, and both can easily deal with this aggression out of Chickendew. So yeah, really nice stuff, but Getting more infantry across the mid here and into these buildings should be a priority for Jarl Conrad right now. Stug 3 is on the way for Chickendew. We're trying to use that to kill off a lot of these light vehicles that Jarl Conrad is relying on right now to gain him the ground. But yeah, currently Chickendew in a very tough spot. Yes, he has a strong position in the top side, and yes, he has a strong position in the bottom, but this huge salient is really going to cause him issues. And this 50 cal getting into this building is really good. It'd be even better if it was in this building, for example, as it stops any infantry advance towards these buildings. One thing that might happen though is due to these Panzerabwehr being in pretty smart locations, they might be able to assist the Stug 3 in cleaning out these light vehicles. M8 Spy is going to surrender some more Fallschirmjagers, and it looks like this Fallschirmjager will also be utterly annihilated. That's 2 squads of Fallschirmjagers killed off very quickly there. 50 cal has pinned down another Fallschirmjager closer up. M5A1 and the M8 Spy are looking to double team the Stug right now. Jarl Conrad needs to be very careful about this, that's for sure. Oh, nice rocket strike though from the P38 Lightning. That's going to be engaging the ME109 G6R6 with the 50 cals, however, and the Bofors on target. The ME109 G6R6 does get taken out, or forced back at least, not killed off. Fallschirm Pioneers do clean out the 50 cal, but with the Stug 3 being forced back, there is the opportunity here for some serious damage from something like this M5A1, just fast moving forwards and surrendering both the Fallschirmjäger and the Stug 3. But we can see that the Fallschirm Panzerabwehr have bailed out the M8 Spy. The Spy on the bottom side is sort of covering off against this L6, but I'd like to see the M4A2 to try and push into line of sight there, and that's exactly what we're going to see, which is really nice. Because if Jarl Conrad can remove the pressure from the bottom top side as well, he would be comfortably sitting at a +3, maybe even a +4 at this point in the game. So it's just a matter of bringing in the correct reinforcements needed to secure these town areas and prevent himself, Jarl Conrad, from being surrounded. Now the Stug 3 has recovered, and that will likely finish off the M8 Spy here. The Stug has had its HE and machine gun turned off, so it solely engages vehicles. Pretty much what Chickendew brought this in for, and that's what he's going to be using it for. Okay, Fallschirm Panzerabwehr there, taking out another half track. Stug 3 taking shots at the M8 Spy. It's only a matter of time though until the M4A2s make some ground here. The M8 does get killed eventually. M4A2 does take out the L6 on the bottom side, leaves the Fallschirmjägers pinned. With some aggression from the Spy and some extra infantry, there's a lot of ground to be gained down here. And I'm surprised to see a lack of investment in infantry, as it's really what Jarl Conrad needs right now to make ground. Now obviously the 2nd Armoured French can suffer with infantry availability in general, but hopefully Jarl Conrad has enough cards in his division so that is not an issue, especially considering how far ahead he is right now and has the potential to be. He is going to want to avoid engagements with things like the Fallschirm Pioneers. Those Pioneers can definitely do a lot of damage to any infantry he throws at them. There is of course Sapeurs, however, that can easily trade with the Fallschirm Pioneer. But one thing I will say is that Fallschirm Pioneers, due to their extra health, generally survive a HE grenade, whereas otherwise like squads with 10 health do not. Now, I'm not entirely sure the purpose of that smoke run there. It seems a bit counterintuitive if you ask me, as he has just spotted the Fallschirmjager and now has no idea where that's going to be moving forwards. And I feel like this M4A3 will end up accidentally just driving into that. Now Sapeurs, they are going to get a grenade on target here onto the Fallschirmjager. I don't think it's going to matter though. Fallschirmjager come out of the building, get themselves killed anyway. So that's cleaned up that mess. Voltigeurs and Sapeurs moving into these buildings now. And the Voltigeurs at long range have the potential for a lot of damage. The double 30 cal and M1 Garand combination is a severe amount of HE at range. Maybe not quite as good as the Fallschirmjagers, but pretty damn decent. Fallschirm Pioneers getting in at close range are going to get a grenade off. I think that's a dead Sapeurs squad or a Voltigeurs squad. Voltigeurs down to one man. Fallschirm Pioneers do get taken out. So, can Jarl Conrad find the room to push into these buildings? But on the other side of that, does Chickendew really have enough to push back? Because at the moment he is being stalled so damn much. And all the while, Jarl Conrad's sitting there with a +1, almost a +2. So the Sapeurs now moving up, finding another Fallschirmjager. I was commending the placement of these Fallschirmjager previously, but having two so close together there and being probably killed in quick succession is not ideal. Spitfire Mark 9 being used to try and bomb the Pack 30 or Flak 36. Not really convinced that's the right choice. The thing is with AA is it's naturally resistant to air attacks, so he was actually very unlikely to completely pin that down and get rid of it. Those Spitfire attacks would have been better used elsewhere, like a bombing strike just onto this infantry in the bottom side here would have then led to the M4A2 being able to push across the bridge, for example, and that would have been a much better use of that air support. There's a lot of potential on the bottom here. Pushing into this town right now seems like an almost impossible task for Jarl Conrad. Now the M4A3, that's going to be moving up here. I think it's going to look for the engagement with the Stug 3, and at close range, M4A376s are just absolutely insane sometimes. Now on the top, M4A2 still holding ground. M5A1's dealing with some Fallschirmjagers. Stuart has been killed off. M4A3 is going to go for the ambush. Can it aim in time? It looks like it's going to beat it to it and gets the kill. And that is the beauty of the M4A376. Of course, that was also a Stug, which kind of compounded the matter. But volunteers actually now being brought in. Now this was a unit that was actually brought in an update. This was like a almost free LC at some point, which brought in, I think, the Oxen Bucks as well as some other units. But the volunteers was one of those, and these guys are absolutely insane at close range. Very similar to Makazars, honestly. They've got the 18 HE at 100 meter range plus the extra Car 98. So they can put down 20 HE, and if, for example, they get into these buildings and then get amongst the enemy infantry here, there's potential for a lot of damage, especially against things like Fallschirmjagers. Maybe not so much against Fallschirm Pioneers, and you can see the example I was talking about here, with the Fallschirm Pioneers surviving the HE, whilst the Sapeurs did not, and that is the major difference between Fallschirm Pioneers and other HE grenade squads. That's what makes them so damn effective. M5A1 still killing off those Fallschirmjagers there. Chickendew has sort of invested quite heavily into holding back the initial push here. But now it's really a matter of, can Chickendew find the ground back? And honestly, I think he's going to need a combination of these L6s and Stugs in order to make that happen. Because getting past the M4A3s and so on, it's going to be really difficult. Now the M8 does get killed off here. but the M4A3 has killed the Stug 3, and that is a significant blow for sure. ME109 G6R6 looking for the kill onto the P38 Lightning. Not going to be able to find it as he does get pinned down, and now the Spitfire's on his tail. ME109 G6R6 goes down. So really nice air engagement there for Jarl Conrad, goes completely in his favour. The Flak 36 not quite able to finish the job, but the Pak 40 does get the kill onto the M4A376, and I can't help but feel that Jarl Conrad got a bit over ambitious with that Sherman. He did not have to move in front of that AT gun, but maybe he just couldn't see it. There's not any recon left really here. There is some spy on the bottom side, but they aren't in the best position anymore. Fallschirm Pioneers do find themselves pinned. Going to be very likely that they just get killed off afterward, and the MG34 will be soon to follow. These volunteers are finding themselves in pretty tough situations, and honestly, if Jarl Conrad's already down to the volunteers, then he's not going to have much infantry availability left at this point. There's a few more coming in, but this is, I think, a scary situation for Jarl Conrad to be in, especially without the M4A3 here anymore. That L6 is going to clean up the Bofors. The Spitfire Mark 9s are definitely losing their use, as AA is being invested upon by Chickendew. But can this bazooka do the job? No, it cannot. It's absolutely annihilated. That was incredible. But now we see a push coming through from Jarl Conrad on the top side. So he switched tack here. He's actually going to be putting some pressure into the Fallschirm Pioneers. M4A2 really needs to try and get involved there, but with these Fallschirm Panzer Abwehr squads hanging about, Chickendew definitely doing a lot of damage. Oh, look at the volunteers there. Wow. A lot of damage done to the Fallschirm Pioneers, takes them out very easily. 81mm mortar going to be killed off by the machine guns. P38 Lightning does come in with the rockets to pin down the infantry. Doesn't do too much damage though. 88 now on the field. M4A2 is going to be pushing through pretty hard down here, and with its high veterancy, the accurate shots from its main gun can not only pin but do quite a lot of damage as well. Meanwhile, on the top side though, the volunteers, they're opening up with their Kar 98s, and that's something that you don't really want to do with the volunteers. Yes, it's helping reveal a lot of this infantry, but whether or not that's productive, I'm not entirely sure. Looks like the Pak 41s are finally coming in. A little bit late to the party, but definitely getting there. I might be able to kill the M4A2s at close range, honestly. Oh, it's actually a Puption. Never mind, my bad. I'm assuming this must also be a Puption. Either way, very good at 500 meter range to engage the M4A2s. Fallschirmjagers in the meantime, they are going to be pushing through the mid. M5A1 half tracks though are going to be trying to prevent that. But these Fallschirmjagers have got close enough to use their Panzerfaust, and that's going to be one M5A1 weapon jammed. The second one might also fall prey to that if it's not too careful, however just out of range at the moment. Now what we can see here is that the Sappers, it looks like they might be able to finish off the MG, which is good. They've also spotted the Puption, so Jarl Conrad shouldn't really run into that. This Puption has also been found, the voltages with the 30 cals, trying their best to pin down the enemy units. P38 Lightning does come in with a rocket strike. The bomber Spitfire gets forced back before it's anywhere near its target. And well, Jarl Conrad simply just under pressure towards the end of the game here, but honestly, Chickendew's looking on his last legs. The Stug is dead. The L6 is dead. All of like the mobile units that he could use to push are no longer available. This is going to be a quite nice kill though from the B1 onto the M4A2, or M4A3, sorry. Very good kill indeed. Off map has come in. That's going to be smashing into Jarl Conrad's volunteers here, but has not found the surrender just yet. There's good potential that he will find a triple surrender, honestly, if this one man dies. Well, the half track going down there is not ideal, but yeah, the Vulcan Pioneers, and they pinned the Volunteers, but they got pinned themselves. The one man, what an absolute hero, saves the day by pinning the Vulcan Pioneers and forcing them to surrender. In the mid here, the voltages did get pushed back. The Vulcan Pioneers have found a grenade onto the voltages in the building, but the bomb is going to be landing on top of them at the same time, so no surrender just yet from either side. Another Spitfire Mark 9 gets a bomb onto the Fallschirmjagers there as well. And wow, what a balancing act this has been for Jarl Conrad at this point. He's definitely suffering with lack of availability. Of course, he is playing as the French, and into the late game it can get exceptionally difficult. But Chickendew making it easy on the top side, running his command infantry into line of sight with the M4A2. Oh, the Fallschirmpanzer Abwehr a miss, and with the main gun and 30 cals firing, wait, what? At the Fallschirm Pioneers? Well, it's going to probably get itself killed because of that. That was astounding. Big mistake, actually, from Jarl Conrad, not sort of focusing that Fallschirmpanzer Abwehr as soon as it showed itself. Dead M4A2 on the top side. Now for this town. Well, it's under fire quite heavily from the Flak 41. There's like 11 minutes left on the clock here. Will Chickendew be able to stop this +1? We'll have to wait and see. That was a really nice kill. Another M4 going down. Also the 50 cal being taken out. Crazy stuff. There is a hole on this bottom side though, and they're going to open it up. Fallschirmjagers go down. Volunteers still constantly pinned in these trees, but not surrendered. Like I mentioned, without the sort of mobile units to take advantage of the pinning and all of these casualties on the side of Jarl Conrad, you can't really make ground. And that's something that you can see Chickendew is really like struggling with here. I think just infantry availability on both sides is getting very low, and Jarl Conrad will have the tanks where Chickendew will not. And that's something we might see come into play here. But the M4A2 at that range will demolish Fallschirm Pioneers. Do a lot of damage there. Volunteers not the best at engaging when they're not at 100 meter range. So some smoke would be nice, like a mortar or something. That would definitely help the advance here. The introduction of this M7 is actually really nice, as that will allow Jarl Conrad to put a lot of pressure onto these 88s that are currently holding him back. If that 88 wasn't there, all he'd have to do is push forwards the infantry, find the enemy infantry, and then advance with the tanks. And it would have been as simple as it sounds. And the volunteers here, well, going to surrender the 88 as they hit it from behind enemy lines. Just making it very difficult for Chickendew to push. He's just kind of run out of steam. There's just nothing really left for Chickendew. And he's not bringing in anything significant. These Stur 42s are kind of sitting ducks for the M4A 375s. So where do we go from here? Another M7 is on the way. That's again going to be starting to put down more pressure onto the 88s and any support units that are available. The Bofors is still in the mid. This HS-129 though, can it find a kill onto both of these M4A2s? Does kill one. If it kills the second as well, that could definitely be what Chickendew needs to push through. But with the double Spitfire coming in and shooting that down, I'm not sure that that's going to be enough. M4A3 still in the way. Spitfire does get shot down by an 88, I think. But yeah, interesting stuff. I think that was maybe the last chance that Chickendew had. He had the HS-129 coming in strong. Yeah, again, if he'd sort of killed both of the M4A3s, then the Stur 42s could have advanced with some infantry quite aggressively. But now it's not so likely, because the M4A3 can kill the Stür 42s unopposed, unless maybe the Fallschirmpanzer Abwehr does the job. But that's a lot of weight on one man's soldiers, on that one man's shoulders. Sorry. P38 Lightning's just going to slam that Stür 42. Chickendew realises it's probably too far gone. And 35 minutes and 14 seconds later, Jarl Conrad is victorious. So congratulations to Jarl Conrad. Definitely did well with the phase A to phase B push in the early game, which basically left Chickendew crippled. And I think, honestly, there was a real lack of offensive play out of Chickendew himself. We saw that there were plenty of gaps that Chickendew could have maybe exposed, but he seemed to be too concerned about plugging the hole that Jarl Conrad had made, rather than trying to make his own ground elsewhere, which would have maybe cancelled out the ground advantage that Jarl had throughout the early to mid game, and made it so that the conquest points would have been easier to make back. But the fact is, Jarl Conrad did get up to 2,066 points, and Chickendew was just struggling at that point to find back the ground with the third Fallschirmjager. So unfortunately for Chickendew, he's going to be knocked out of the tournament. Jarl Conrad moves on to the lower bracket round 2. Nice job, honestly. Mortar took out the Puption early, which was very important to allow the M5A1 and the M8 to cross the river. Those M5A1s and M8s definitely dealt with the L6s nicely. M4A2 on the top side killed off a significant amount of infantry. This one killed off a couple of L6s. It was all about timing, really, for Jarl Conrad. I was a bit worried about his push towards the chateau in the mid, but he made it work out after he brought up some reinforcing infantry, which was nice. Chickendew, again, played reactively for pretty much the entire game, and that's where he completely lost the initiative in order to win the game. So that's basically what happened. And Fallschirmpanzer Abwehrs and the Panzerschrecks and stuff, they do the job. They do a nice job indeed. But they didn't do enough work in this case, I think, to take out the significant units which would then allow the L6s to run riot amongst Jarl Conrad's infantry. It did come down to the wire in terms of infantry availability, I think. Both players almost completely out at that point. Especially with the fact that Chickendew lost a lot of his Fallschirmjagers to surrenders, which is generally not something you want to see, considering they are 45 points a pop. So maybe that's something that Chickendew could have worked on. But either way, that's where I'm going to leave it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.